My sister, 30, called me, 26 female, yesterday morning to tell me that her partner, 45 male, had been rushed to the hospital. She was in hysterics, and I stayed on the phone with her until she could make it to the hospital. She works and her partner stays home with the kids. I believe he's on some disability or unemployment benefit though. Together they have 3 young kids. Here's some background on me and my sister. We had actually not spoken for almost an entire year before her most recent call to me. We have a really strange relationship, starting from our childhood, which our parents exacerbated. I'll honestly say that my parents always favored me and labeled my sister a problem child. Since her teens, she's been involved with sugar use and partying. She graduated high school but dropped out of community college. Our strict traditional Asian parents shunned her after she dropped out of college. They effectively disowned her and pretended that they never had an older daughter. My parents haven't spoken to her in almost a decade and have never met their grandchildren. For the last decade, I've tried to maintain a positive relationship with my sister, but she's betrayed my trust too many times to count. Borrowing money and never returning it, stealing my items, pawning and selling them, bringing me into unnecessary drama in her life, etc. Honestly, I've been trying to distance myself from her for the last 3 to 4 years since she's caused me nothing but pain, stress, and suffering. Then last night, she called me again to let me know that her partner had suffered a severe stroke and had an emergency surgery. The doctors say that they're still very unsure of his prognosis. She then begged me to take in her children for the time being, saying she couldn't afford any childcare and that she'd lose her job if forced to stay with the children. Now, here's the thing. Me and my boyfriend's 5th anniversary is coming up. We've already bought tickets, requested PTO, and made accommodations for a 2-week European trip, starting this Friday. The total trip, including airfare, cost us about $18,000, most of which is non-refundable. I told my sister I'd call her back and let her know after I spoke with my boyfriend. He said it was my choice ultimately. I decided that I wanted to go on our anniversary trip, which I'd been looking forward to for an entire year. I called my sister back and told her I couldn't because of our trip. She started sobbing over the phone and lashed out at me, calling me cruel and selfish. She said that we could afford to rebook our vacation and didn't need that money back, but she would lose her job and her children if she couldn't find someone to take them in. It was a tough conversation, but I stuck with my decision. It's been almost a day since our call, and I won't lie, I do feel a lot of guilt. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Normally you would be the bad guy in this situation. However, I understand your decision with her not talking to you for a year, plus all the history of crap, stealing, and drama. She's trying to drop all the consequences of her poor life decisions in your lap, and it's just not fair. I understand the guilt, but she wore you out and used up whatever sisterly feeling you had for her with all her nonsense. It's a totally overused phrase, but particularly apt here. You can't set yourself on fire to keep other people warm. She sounds like the kind of person who pops out of nowhere whenever she needs something and disappears after she gets it. And I wouldn't be surprised if she disappeared after dropping the kids off, especially if her husband had some complications after his surgery, assuming he survives. OP, who lived with tact and wisdom, suddenly gets saddled with 3 kids she never chose to have. That jumped out at me too. Sister wasn't asking for childcare. She was asking OP to take the kids. OP, even if you wanted to assist, paying for a babysitter would be more effective than wasting the $18,000 trip and 2 weeks of PTO. It's not like being a blood relation changes anything, since, from what you're saying, you'd be a stranger to the kids anyway. It's no different from just hiring an actual stranger. Given your sister's history, do you know if her partner did have a stroke? If her husband is as bad off as your sister claims, why isn't your sister talking to the hospital social worker for help? Her husband was on some sort of disability before he had the stroke. Wouldn't they be eligible for some kind of assistance to help your sister out? Update. Am I the idiot for refusing to take in my sister's kids after her partner had a stroke? My boyfriend and I just had a lengthy talk about this situation, and he believes I made the right decision. However, after reading through everyone's helpful suggestions, we're leaning towards finding a babysitter and paying them directly to care for the children, at least for the first week or two. Even though I'm not close with my sister's children, I really feel for them. I'm not sure about her partner's parents, but from what I know, I believe he's estranged as well. I've never even met her youngest children, only the oldest two maybe 1 or 2 times, so I'm a stranger to the kids. Plus, me and my boyfriend live in an apartment in the city, and we're about a 4-hour drive from her place. My sister will likely not qualify for FMLA since she's been at both jobs for less than a year. I've texted her and encouraged her to speak with the social worker at the hospital to see if there's anything they can do to help her or lead her in the right direction. I know there's doubt that he even had a stroke, but he did. She sent me pictures of him in the hospital and his CTs and MRIs. I do feel horrible for her, but at the same time it's tough for me to find the willpower to wire her money directly, given that she's stolen thousands of dollars from me in the past. But again, we're looking into finding a sitter and paying the sitter directly. To end, I'll be going on our vacation. It's great to have the added support of my lovely boyfriend regarding my decision. He also admitted that he was thankful that I chose to go on the trip. Another big reason I wanted to go on this trip is because I have a sneaking suspicion that he might propose. Thank you very much. My wife and I adopted Mila, tween, Grace, kindergartner, and Lucas, preschooler, from foster care. Grace and Lucas were in a very loving home that would have adopted them if they could. We're still in contact with their foster parents and see them every few months. Mila's home was horrible. She was the first to come to us, and we spent nearly a month in the hospital. And she needed a feeding tube when she came home. Mila has some special needs that are a direct result of that home. A few months ago, we got a call asking if we could take a younger teen girl, Cassie, from the same home that Mila was in. Cassie's needs aren't as severe as Mila's, but between that and the fact that she's years behind in school, normal schooling would have been difficult for her. My sister was a teaching assistant for special ed at our local school district. It was so bad that she didn't even last a year there. When she heard about the girls, she said not to allow them to end up in special ed in our district. My wife quit her job and homeschooled Mila for the first few months, but she's not a teacher, and she doesn't know how to help Mila the way she needs it. We started looking for special needs schools and found one over an hour away that we love. My wife got a job in the office there, so we got cheap tuition for Mila and Cassie when she started school there. The girls are doing great at the school, and we're considering moving closer to it to make life a little easier. The issue is my wife, Mila, and Cassie are out of the house by 6:30 every morning. Cassie's up by 5:30, and Mila's up by 6. They're all tired when it's time to go to school, so as a treat, they go to Starbucks every morning. Mila gets a hot chocolate, Cassie can get a small coffee, and my wife gets a coffee to help them through the morning. They're not always the best at getting the cups out of the car by the time the younger two see it, and lately, they've been throwing temper tantrums every morning when we pass by a Starbucks. My wife thinks we should get it for them, but I don't want to. It's a waste of money. They can have chocolate milk at home. Am I the idiot for not getting them Starbucks? Not the idiot. Kids can't always get what they want. They need to learn this quickly. Also, while I don't know your financial situation, Starbucks is expensive, and that can add up quickly between 4 kids, even more if you two buy something. Coffee can be made at home for cheap. Get a few creamers, non-dairy creamers, maybe even an appliance, whipped cream, chocolate and caramel syrups, and voila! Exactly. Every item can easily be $5, even if it's small. So 3 drinks 5 times a week can quickly get up to $75 a week, or $300 a month. This is not sustainable. Occasional treats are fine, but when you get kids into a habit like that, it's a waste. Yes, they've been through a rough time, but that doesn't mean you encourage an unnecessary habit. Starbucks isn't cheap. It adds up so quickly. What is with all these people suddenly freaking out about money and sugar when it's a hot chocolate and a small coffee after you've woken up at 5 a.m.? Just tell the youngest kids they can have Starbucks when they're older or when they take part in the early morning routine. They'll survive. I don't get all of this. You're an idiot for even looking at a Starbucks. You're an idiot for even looking at a Starbucks is killing me. I also don't understand all these people freaking out over a hot chocolate and small coffee. What's wrong with getting them a little treat for waking up at the crack of dawn? It's really not that much sugar or that much money. I have a young teen daughter from a previous relationship, and my wife has 2 sons, young and mid-teens. I had a vasectomy after my daughter to ensure I wouldn't have other kids. I spoil my daughter however I can. This includes brand clothes, expensive schools, and the best electronics. And before anyone decides that my daughter's a brat, she's an extremely well-behaved kid. The problem is my wife and her ex can't afford the same for their sons, and they're angry that our kids have entirely different living situations while living in the same house. My wife thinks I should be spoiling her sons too, but I can't afford it. So I told her that's not my problem, and they have 2 parents who should be spoiling them. Am I the idiot because I don't want to spoil my 2 stepkids? You are the idiot for marrying someone with children when you have zero intention of treating them as full family members. It's fine not to want to be a step-parent, but then you shouldn't assume that role in the first place. Why do people do this? Why? Why? Go get child-free women. For God's sake, geez. This is kind of a reverse Cinderella situation. Your real kid gets the best of anything she desires, while your stepchildren get to watch her be showered in gifts and made very aware that they're not worthy of the same treatment. I bet other things are unequal too, like required chores and punishments. Step up and be a better stepdad. You're married to that person, so her kids are your kids too. Stop playing favorites. Update. I have been thinking about your comments, and I think you're right. I can't treat kids under the same roof differently, so I asked my wife to move out of my home for now. We will try counseling and see how that goes, but if I have to choose between her and my daughter, it's always going to be my daughter. She's not happy, as she has a low-paying job, and moving out means downgrading their lives. The kids are old enough to understand that. Also, the wedding was a month ago, so it's a small change for them. You are the idiot. Abso-damn-lutely. Your solution to this issue is to kick your wife out? What the heck? You need therapy to learn how to function as a human being. Geez, you quite possibly are one of the biggest idiots ever. Do you actually love your wife? You've been married for a month, and you'd sacrifice your relationship with her rather than treat her kids decently? You're appalling. I, female 27, work in a team of 5. One of the members, let's call her Ava, is pregnant. Our company allows only 6 months of paid maternity leave. Ava's been having a rough pregnancy and has been ordered bed rest by her doctor. She's only in her 2nd trimester, but she's already been calling in sick a lot and has extinguished her paid sick leave. She and her husband are renting and could be doing better financially. They need her income for the next 5 months till the baby's due, and she can officially go on paid maternity leave. Our boss asked us to figure it out. We can't actually do our work remotely. To enable her to work remotely, we'll have to dedicate hours of our work time to working on her behalf physically and gathering the required information. It won't be easy to do and to complete our work, and we'll have to work additional hours. Our company doesn't pay overtime. All others in my team already have family and kids. I'm the only one without kids, or as others said, responsibilities. They asked me to do the additional work to help Ava out. I said no. I sympathize with Ava, but she decided to have a baby, and I can't work extra hours every day to help her. They said I was being an idiot for not helping. I told them if they cared so much, let us all help together. Then everyone will have fewer extra hours to work. They complained they could not since they had family to get back to and responsibilities. I said I have my own life too. We all help together taking turns, or we don't help. I'm not going to sacrifice all my days for her. None of them want to help, and I let our boss know. He hired a temporary replacement for Ava. Ava and the rest of my colleagues are calling me an idiot now. So am I? Not the idiot and not your problem. It's the boss's problem to ensure the work is done, and the company's problem to hire enough staff to complete all the work. Surprise, surprise. When the employees refused to take a bunch of extra work for no pay, they were forced to hire another staff member, which they should have done all along. My wife has to fight this every year with holiday schedules. She works a job that's an essential service, and this has to be covered 24/7. Her coworkers always try to goad her into working every holiday because we have kids and families, and it's just you and your husband. The heck, it's not. We both have families, both have parents, thankfully, and we are a family in any case, and our desire to spend holidays together is just as valid as anyone else's. The point is that you're right. If they aren't willing to take on the extra work, there's no reason why you should either. It would be different if they all agreed and you refused, but that's not the case here. My daughter doesn't apply herself. She's the type of kid who'll schedule the easy classes. She's gliding by in high school. She mentioned that she wanted to follow in her aunt's footsteps and be an engineer. She's looking into her new classes, 3 new ones for half the year, and I looked them over. Now, they're all fun, manageable classes. I asked her if she still wanted to be an engineer, and she said of course. So I asked why she wasn't trying some math or workshop classes. She told me she didn't need those. I sat her down and went to multiple colleges that offer engineering and showed her what classes she would need to take. There were a lot of math, circuits, and just a lot of STEM classes. I told her it's a lot of work, and she needs to step up now and take some extra STEM classes if she wants to go into the field, since she has no background at all at the moment. She got quiet and went to her room. She doesn't want to be an engineer anymore, and my wife is angry at me. I don't know if I did anything wrong by telling her the reality of the degree she wanted. Not the idiot. I want to go into a STEM field. I just don't want to take any STEM classes. Your daughter needed a dose of reality. You're correct in believing that college preparation begins now. Programs like engineering weed out those who would not succeed. If your daughter waits for college to take the challenging classes, she's already behind, and her dream dies anyway. Your wife is angry at you for being realistic? It's better to get a reality check now. My son says he wants to be an engineer, but he's not great at math and not really interested in it either. Why would I pump him up with nonsense? I would bet your wife has been feeding into her delusion all along. I disagree. You are the idiot. Don't kill her confidence before she's had the chance to even start. I'm a woman in electrical engineering. I came in with zero knowledge and nothing fancy in high school, and I'm doing great. It was a learning curve, but it's been so rewarding. At least encourage her to purchase electronic kits to play around with before deciding on a major. Don't shut her down. Tell her it'll be hard, but you're so proud of her for attempting this. Not, you can't, it's too much. She can learn all that stuff in college. That's literally the point.